All right, Dari, thank you very much. Congratulations to Georgia Tech. Meanwhile, it's LSU and Florida, a top 12 showdown for the SEC Tournament Championship. Dave Neal, Chris Burke, Kyle Peterson, glad you could join us. First pitch in there as the Florida Gators, your SEC regular season champs, taking on one of the hottest teams going right now, the LSU Tigers, winners of 7 straight. Mark Laird to lead things off for this LSU club. LSU has 2 run rule victories in this tournament. They are a team that, in their 7-game win streak, hitting .388 as a team with 12 homers. They have scored 85 runs. And the first batter of the game, Laird, to second base, where Casey Turgeon able to scoop. And the first out is recorded. Karsten Whitson gets the ball today for this Florida team that Kyle Peterson has 20 losses, but yet the #1 RPI and the #1 strength of schedule in the country.
Yeah, look at that bottom number. More wins against the RPI top 50 than anybody in the nation. 23 of those wins this year for the Gators. They won the SEC regular season title. Strength of schedule is 1. RPI is 1. And they will hear their name called tomorrow as one of the top 8 national seeds, potentially the first overall seed.
A win here would go a long way in determining that. They still may come away with that regardless of the outcome here. Meanwhile, LSU entered, actually the last week of the regular season, they were just trying to scratch and claw their way to a regional site host. And they may be talking about a top 8 seed after their performance the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been impressive. And it started with the offense. It's been kind of a la the old school guerrilla ball LSU clubs that used to terrorize this tournament. Now they're coming back through with a vengeance, and it was a slow start. Paul Maneri wasn't quite sure whether this club was going to ever hit to the degree with which they thought they were capable. But boy, have they caught fire here lately. It's been up and down the lineup, and it's been with the long ball making this Hoover Metropolitan Stadium look small.
A lot of purple and gold in the building here at the Met. That one popped up in foul territory off the bat of Alex Bregman. He's one of those guys that's just been tearing the cover off the baseball here lately. In this 7-game streak, he's hitting .406 on the year. He's at .298. Now, yesterday, he hit the ball as hard as anybody in the tournament, but couldn't come up with a base hit.
Yeah, had a home run robbed, had a double in the gap robbed. He's locked in, squaring everything up.
Karsten Whitson, the big right-hander junior. A former 9th pick overall by the Padres, coming out of high school, turned down around $2 million, but got banged up after a great opening season in Gainesville.
I think the question, which one do we see? If you see the really good Whitson, he can dominate. Fastball slider can be outstanding. And you saw right there, he ran it up to 96, trying to let that one go against Bregman. Quick start is key, I think, for Whitson. Dave, you had him a week or so ago to where it was not a quick start. But if Whitson gets out to a quick start and the confidence is high, he can be really, really good. And I think very important in the postseason for the Gators.
Yeah, they need Karsten Whitson. And he's a guy against Vanderbilt a couple of weeks ago, walked the first 3, gave up a base hit, then another walk, and didn't even get out of the first inning. You talk to his head coach, Kevin O'Sullivan. He says he really likes his stuff. It's just a matter of, as you said, confidence. Sharply hit out to Turgeon, and that'll be out number 2 as Bregman is retired.
Well, I mean, this was the Whitson that we saw freshman year. When he came onto the scene, Dave talked about the highest drafted player that year, 9th overall pick. But went to college. In his freshman year, he was outstanding. 92 strikeouts, 28 walks for Whitson. But really since then, and injuries a part of it, but since then has been a little bit different guy. What we've seen so far in the first, velocity-wise, getting back to really what he was at freshman year. When the slider is good, it's straight top to bottom with very little movement and tough for a hitter to pick out.
Here's Jake Fraley hitting .382 on the year. The freshman left fielder will step in. 3 homers and 29 runs batted in. That one misses upstairs. 2-0. Whitson with a 4.60 ERA with a 1-1 record. He's only thrown 31 1/3 innings this year. Compare his freshman year to the last couple of seasons. Now remember, he was shut down a year ago with forearm arm troubles. That's why some of those numbers are a little bit skewed, but nonetheless, it is not the same guy. He pumps his own with a strike there. at 94 miles an hour.
I think the one thing to watch with Whitson today is, can he repeat his delivery? Can he repeat his fastball? And if he's missing spots by a big amount, that's when you know he's not comfortable. If he's just missing spots where the ball's just missing a glove, that's when Whitson can be really good. That was a better fastball. So velocity doesn't need to be 95, 96. That one 93, but it had good movement away from the left-handed hitter. And you see this late tail away from Fraley. Watch the glove. That catcher's glove has to move that way to get it. That's the late movement. You could see that move right at the end by Gusher.
2 strikes on Fraley. A little bit low, it's full. Fraley, during the 7-game win streak, folks, is hitting .609. He is 14 out of 23. 5 RBIs, slugging at a .783 clip. Off the end of the bat, we'll do it again.
Tell you what, too, pretty impressive here early on. He's got a chance to get through the first inning against the hottest hitting team in America with just fastball. And we're yet to see any secondary pitches, and that would be a great sign if you're a Gator fan. Carson Whitson can come out here and establish the fastball and do it effectively against the top third of this order. It's a good sign of things to come.
Walked him. That is the 21st walk of the year for Karsten Whitson. 20 strikeouts. And now you face the cleanup hitter, Sean McMullen.
You know what's been so interesting about this resurgence by LSU is the bottom half has been just as productive as the top half. And we saw yesterday Savick, Moore, and Hale all hit home runs for this club. So normally you're used to, especially in college baseball, things softening as you go through the lineup, but it's just not the case right now with LSU.
Florida coming off their 13th SEC regular season championship. That is tied with Alabama for the 2nd most all-time, trailing LSU, who has 2 more, 15. And their illustrious career. There's a strike to Sean McMullen. The DH at .283 on the year. 5 homers and 32 runs batted in.
You know, yesterday we saw LSU come right out of the gate swinging. They came out early, a lot of first pitch hacks. You know that they know the report on Whitson has been command, has been a problem. His last start especially didn't get out of the first inning. And you can see here each hitter having taken the first pitch of their at bat. Something to look for as we go through the lineup if they're all going to try to be a little more passive here early on.
Fly ball left center. Long run for Reed and Bader. It'll be the left fielder Buddy Reed makes the catch. So Whitson gives up the walk. That runner is left stranded as Florida coming up here in the bottom of the 1st inning. Well, a quick start to this one after Georgia Tech wins the ACC championship. We come to Hoover for the SEC title. I'm Dave Neal. This is Chris Burke, former SEC Player of the Year, 2-time Pac-10 Player of the Year, Kyle Peterson. Guys, certainly it's the time of the year we start talking about postseason. Obviously an impact here. These 2 teams are in, but where they go, top seed overall, top 8 seed. Burke, I'll start with you in terms of the SEC and how many teams we think at this point do we see get in from the Southeast.
Well, it looks like we're going to have 10 in. I think everybody's in complete agreement about that. 11 is still a little bit up in the air. But as far as national seeds, I think there's a lot. We're going to get 2 out of the conference. There's some debate over maybe even 3. The question will it be LSU or Ole Miss? I think South Carolina hurt themselves here this week. Ole Miss, the West champs. We know Florida's in as the East champs. Vanderbilt's RPI still higher than LSU's, but with a championship here today, potentially LSU jumps Vanderbilt and maybe sneaks in as another national seed from this conference.
I'll tell you the other thing to watch, too, is hosts. I mean, I think that if LSU wins this game, I think LSU's the 8th national seed. If they don't win this game, I still think they've got a really good argument. But I think you're going to see 5 hosts from the SEC. And those top 5 that you see on there, Florida, Vanderbilt, LSU, South Carolina, and Ole Miss, I think all 5 will end up hosting.
What a run it's been for the league this year. I mean, it's just been, you're talking about 10 of 14 teams right in the mix to play for the national championship. Of course, this guy has kept his club in that mix. You know, you look at what Kevin O'Sullivan has done at Florida, and he just continues to bring in top-ranked recruiting classes, and he plays a ton of freshmen now. But, you know, this is a team this year that I don't think expectations were 21-9 on an SEC regular season title, but he somehow pushed all the right buttons. Turgeon, Martin, Bader. There's Gushu in that cleanup hole hitting .327. It's Matson, Powers, Alonzo Reed, and Tobias. Alden Cartwright gets the ball today for LSU. The right-hander working against this Florida lineup. KP break down his scouting report.
He's done a little bit of everything for LSU this year. Had some starts within the conference, has come out of the bullpen. Average fastball, but above average command, and that's a pretty good combination in this ballpark. That last one used the park. Hoover Met plays big, 340 down the line, 405 to center. If they get 4 to 5, and he has yet to go 5 innings this year, that's a very good day from Cartwright with a pretty well-rested LSU bullpen.
2.1 ERA, a 1-1 record. First pitch swinging from Turgeon right out to Fraley in left field. 1 down. Cartwright, 6 feet, 187 pounds, from Baton Rouge. Played his high school ball for former Tigers second baseman Tukey Johnson back in the late 80s, early 90s. Those are his numbers: 25 Ks, 7 walks on the season. Tell you what, he had a nice little run through the SEC. He pitched against SEC competition this year 11 different times, 4 of those coming as starters, but a 1.65 ERA. There's a strike to Richie Martin, the shortstop for the Gators. Sophomore out of Brandon, Florida, hitting .270 on the year with a home run. That's off the plate for Richie Martin, who is a guy that is healthy this year. Last year played in some pain as a freshman, but Kevin O'Sullivan just felt like he needed to get him in the lineup. Actually had a broken finger, was having a tough time throwing the baseball. And he came as a shortstop. They ended up putting him out at center field the second half of the season, and he really couldn't throw it, so he just he would do all he could to get it back into the infield after he made a catch, but he was such a great athlete. He actually played pretty well out there.
Had never played there, and did not look out of place at all. And he'll show you some flash at short. I mean, he'll make some plays you don't think you can get to, but the error numbers are high because a lot of times it's the kind of the everyday play, the one that gets to him. A lot of those errors on throws, but he can make some highlight reel plays.
Cartwright has Martin 2-2. 1 down here in the bottom of the first inning. Almost pulled the trigger. Boy, Cartwright was nipping on that outside part of the plate. Ends up walking Richie Martin, the 2-hole hitter. And now here's Harrison Bader stepping in.
I think the one thing to watch with Cartwright today, watch that front side when he lets it go. A lot of times you want to follow that front side. When Cartwright struggles, watch that front side really peel off, then he falls that way. When you see the finish, and that was better actually, when you see the finish and all of the finish go towards home plate, then the momentum's going there. He's staying more linear and in line to home plate. When he's spinning off, that's the one that's harder to stick on that glove side outside of a right-handed hitter.
Here's Bader stepping in against Cartwright. Bader, the leading hitter at the SEC tournament, a .625 clip. Runner goes, throw down is not in time, and give Martin his 18th stolen base in 20 attempts on the year.
You got to like the aggressiveness, and Cartwright's a bit of a drop and drive guy, and what you'll see here is there's an exaggerated motion on the way down, and so even though the foot doesn't come all that far off the ground, it takes him a while to get rid of the baseball. And Martin, I like how he slides to the back side of the bag there. But I love it when a team comes out with a scouting report, they know a pitcher's slow to the plate and aggressively take the base right out of the gate.
Bader hitting .340 on the year, a couple of homers and 24 runs batted in. There's a strike Bader behind 0-2 now. Guys, one thing that we haven't talked about yet is interesting that the third SEC weekend of the season, LSU goes down to Gainesville, and they get swept by Florida. Gators won 2-1, 6-2, and 11-7. And it was really about that point when LSU kind of turned it around a little bit.
It's also about that point that everybody went, all right, Florida's for real. Because I think you were still kind of wondering. And from that point on, they were as consistent and better than anybody else in this league.
The 0-2 misses. 1-2.
I was actually in Baton Rouge that following weekend. And one thing you could tell was there was no panic. And it was early. Yes, they got swept. Yes, I think they were second to last place in the West at the time, but they knew they had still the length of the season in front of them, and they knew what they had from a talent standpoint. Now, they were underachieving at the time, but I think the Pulmonary staff, the way they handle adversity is one of the reasons this club is so consistent in every single year.
Did he go? No. As they check down to Tony Walsh at first base. Bader, a guy riding a 5-game hit streak. He's hit safely at 9 of his last 10. 4 straight multi-hit games and has raised his season average 33 points during this SEC tournament. And has been solid with runners in scoring position. The guy on deck, Taylor Gushu, is their big RBI guy, leads the team by a long margin with 49 runs batted in. Bader has 24. To short, Bregman. His only play over to first. Martin. He took off on contact. Heading for third.
Well, you know, this is one of those plays where if you get a bad jump, you're going to get exposed. But Martin immediately reads this ball and uses his speed and athleticism to get such a big jump that Bregman goes ahead and makes the play at first base. If you hesitate at all, you're out. And Martin reads that ball. Fortunately for the Gators, his athleticism allows him to get to that base easy, because if you get thrown out right there, it's a big no-no.
Well, here's Gushu looking for a big base hit to get the Gators on the board with 2 outs. The Florida catcher hitting .327, 6 home runs, 49 runs batted in, and 16 doubles. All those numbers lead the team. Little blooper. Stevenson on the run to his right, makes the catch. So the Gators will leave a runner at third, and Alden Cartwright gets out of that little jam. 1 inning is in the books. The 2014 SEC Baseball Tournament from Hoover, Alabama. We continue on a warm Sunday afternoon. Hope you're having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Dave Neal, Chris Burke, and Kyle Peterson as we bring you the championship game. And KP, here's what's at stake, I guess, when you start thinking about LSU. They're trying to get that top 8 national seed, and what a home field advantage they do have.
Oh, massive. Yeah, especially when you know that Louisiana Lafayette is going to get one of those national seeds, or at least I'd be surprised if they don't. And so if you're LSU and you get one that you know it avoids that super regional, which I think is almost a lock. If LSU does not get a national seed, I think they'd be matched up with Lafayette in the super. For Florida, you're playing for that top overall national seed. I don't know that it means a whole lot. I think if you get one of the top 8, then most of them are created equal, but there's some prestige that goes with it. Number one strength of schedule, number 1 RPI. You win the top league in the country regular season, and Florida has definitely proven they should be in the discussion, in the very short discussion, for that top overall seed.
Well, LSU has also shown with their freshman Jared Poche. We saw Kyle Bowman yesterday, and we do know what Aaron Nola possesses. Berkey, I got to think from a pitching standpoint, they are set up really well for a nice postseason
Yeah,
run.
they are. Poche has really solidified that number 2 spot, and obviously we know Nola stacks up with anybody in the country. As the offense has continued to progress and now have peaked, arguably as the best offense in America at the moment, LSU is as dangerous as any club. And you start talking about national title contender with the way they're playing at the moment.
Gates of Vic steps in. Lines one back up the middle, base hit for the LSU catcher. Look at what the LSU starters have done in this tournament. Remember, they run ruled a couple of teams, Vanderbilt early and then Arkansas late.
It's pretty good when Nola gives up your most runs from your starting rotation.
It is, but I would tell you, I think the one that's most important right there is Bowman. I mean, if you've got that three guy, especially the way that the postseason lines up, if that third guy is a guy that you think can go out there and be better than most ever threes, it really gives you an advantage, because at some point, if LSU is going to make a run to Omaha, Bowman's going to have to come up with a big start.
Well, we saw Nola there. His only loss of the year came to this team down in Gainesville. Only loss in the last 2 years, I might add. Tyler Moore. Talk about a guy who's raking. He has homered in back-to-back SEC tournament games. He has scored 9 runs, 4 doubles, 3 home runs, and 19 RBIs during the 7-game win streak. Ground ball. This could be an easy 2 for Martin. He gets tripped up at the bag at second, and he comes up limping. So Vic came barreling down on Martin at second base.
Let's see here as he gets behind the bag. I like how he steps it with his right foot here. And Savic, yeah, catches him with the front side. Looks like he's going to be just fine. Cade Savic's not a dude you want to run into. I promise you that.
No, and he was just going straight into the bag.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the slide. In that case, Martin's going to figure out a way to get the way out of it. I think he's okay, but it did look like he got clipped.
Connor Hale steps in, the LSU second baseman. He's riding a 5-game hit streak. A junior out of Newport Richey, Florida. Glove by Tobias. That's how you win regular season championships.
Well, I tell you, this Florida team has been doing it with pitching and defense all year, and Josh Tobias is going to show us a little of that defense. Watch the break on the ball, full extension, picks it, gets up and throws a strike to first base, and Whitson is fired up. The Gators are rolling.
Cade Savic behind the plate trying to break up a double play a moment ago. Got into Richie Martin, the Gator shortstop, and this was what happened between innings as Kevin O'Sullivan talking to our home plate umpire Scott Irby saying he got up a little high around the knee, and then he gave Mr. Savic a little look back.
The Gator dugout not happy about that slide. Protecting their guys. You love to see that from a skipper. He's going to go out there and protect his players as well he should. A little hard ball here in the Southeastern Conference title game.
Here's Braden Matson, the right fielder, to step in. Matson, a freshman out of Tampa, Florida. Or excuse me, the junior out of San Antonio, Texas, stepping in. 274 on the year with a homer and 28 RBIs. Inside. It's now 3-1 to Matson. Here's that slide we were talking about a moment ago.
Shortstop, tell me what you got here.
Well, I'd like to see him get off the ground right there.
Right.
You see the runner coming. The runner has great direction there. He's sliding into the middle of the base, and he has every right to be sliding into the bag right there. And again, Kevin O'Sullivan needs to go out there and stick up for his guys. That's what good managers do. But Richie Martin, I promise you, he wants to play this game for a while. You need to avoid guys like Cade Savic with everything you got. Get off the ground, brother. Get out of the way.
3-2 on Matson, followed by Powers and Alonso, and Matson will stroll down to first base. Only the 8th walk of the year issued by Alden Cartwright. Freshman out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Florida has showcased the small ball game quite a bit this season. You got to wonder here with a leadoff walk whether they come right out and try to advance the runner here via the bunt. Maybe they allow Powers to use the right side of the field here and give him the green light. It'd be interesting to see. For the most part of the season, they've been sacrificing in these situations.
You know, you look at the numbers from Florida this year, guys, and offensively they finished the regular season 11th in batting average. They finished the year 8th in earned run average. And nothing really pops out when you look at their lineup. Taylor Gushew had a good solid year. Powers to center field. Stevenson makes the catch, and Matson will head back to first base. One down. Be sure to catch more baseball tonight on ESPN when Adam Wainwright leads the Cardinals against Brandon Phillips and the Reds. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. St. Louis for Cincinnati, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. Here's Peter Alonso to step in. Gators won this tournament championship back in 2011. LSU won it last year, knocked off Vanderbilt in a #1 versus #2 matchup. 5-4 in 10 innings. The numbers on Peter Alonso, .274 average.
Well, you see LSU got the message in the first when Florida went out there and aggressively took the bag on the first opportunity they had to steal second base. And again, Cartwright, not the fastest guy to home plate, has to pay attention to runners or else Florida will take advantage of that.
Close play at first.
And that's great information. If you're Matson, it's obvious when a guy gives you his A move. And see, Matson's not too far off the bag there, but still gets back relatively easily against an A move. And so once you've seen a guy's best move, especially when you consider that throw was on the dirt, you know you can get another step, even step and a half, because you've seen his best move.
Alonso at the plate has hit safely in 6 of his last 8. 2 for 9 with 2 RBIs and 3 SEC tournament starts. Runner goes, bat goes sailing into the stands. Oh my goodness. We got batter's interference at home. We got a bat in the stands, and we got Kevin O'Sullivan coming to try to figure it out. Boy, Palmineri jumped out as Matson took off for second.
Yeah,
they're calling interference because of the way he fell over home plate. I mean, it's when he throws the bat, then it's more fan interference on the bat. But for that case, that's the interference. You don't have to make contact. It's just whether or not you impede that throw. And Savic, obviously, that impeded the throw enough because he fell right across home plate.
Well, and for Alonso there, obviously he kind of lost his mind when he lost his bat. Right. You can see he totally lost focus on the fact that he has got to make an attempt to get out of the catcher's way right there. And as he's concerned about where his bat ends up, he costs the Gator a base and an out.
Besides, you read the lift right there.
Yeah.
You can't fall over the plate.
What a strange play. As he loses his bat, he loses his focus, and it costs the Gators mightily.
I'm glad nobody got hurt down there. That bat went 6 rows deep. Buddy Reed out to center field. Stevenson makes the catch, so the leadoff walk goes for naught. Matson's left stranded. Cartwright with a nice job. 8-9, the top of the order again for LSU. Well, a lot of conference tournaments coming to a close, and some of these teams making it to the field of 64. Bethune-Cookman out of the MEAC Bryant out of the Northeast Conference. Bucknell from the Patriot League. They go 30-19 on the season. And the College of Charleston, another good season out of the CAA. They go 41-17 on the year. Their last appearance was actually down at Gainesville Regional back in 2012. Don't forget, tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, turn on ESPNU. It's the selection show presented by Capital One. Fill you in on where everybody's going. KP will tell us who has the hardest road and who has the easiest road.
You got it.
Andrew Stevenson to lead it off for LSU. Andrew hitting 8 today in the lineup, the center fielder at .335. You don't talk about a young man who's got a ton of speed. You're looking at him. The second. Turgeon active out at second base today, but it's up to the task, one down.
I'll tell you, it's been a picture-perfect start for Carson Whitson. Using his defense, getting ahead early, the fastball exclusively here early on. Just pounding the zone with strikes, making LSU earn everything they get.
Keeping it down in the zone with those 6 ground outs. Once again, a former first-round pick, number 9 by the Padres in 2011. Reported to turn down around $2 million. Christian Abar, the third baseman, plunked right on the back, the 4th hit batter of the year by Whitson. And you know what? He got hit yesterday, but in a different way. Watch this. Off the forehead, right into the glove of Bregman. Come on.
That just never gets old. I mean, we can say that because he's fine and he's laughing about it. Look, he's already right after the plate laughing about it. But that is a once-in-a-lifetime type of play.
Pulmonary. And there it is. You could see not like the real stitches where they stitch up, but that's the stitches from the baseball on his forehead.
Smile ear to ear.
Tell you what, he wore that like a chain.
He did.
He didn't go down.
Right.
He didn't even go down.
Accept it. Own it.
No, he was laughing right after it happened.
Runner goes. Mark Laird to short. Martin's only play is going to be over to first. Boy, good scoop over there by Zach Powers. Just did get Laird.
Boy, I tell you what, I like when middle infields execute coverage properly. Watch how Richie Martin, one false step, but he holds his ground. And if he's covering right there, obviously LSU's got a first or third. Instead, he holds his ground, finishes the play with a strong throw, gets Laird by half a step. But that's an easy play. A lot of times, left-handed hitter, the shortstop will cover. Good job there of holding your ground and making sure you don't give up an easy first and third.
Well, now here's Alex Bregman, a tough out. By the way, give Whitson a little credit. First time during the 7-game win streak for LSU that they did not score a run in the first or second inning.
Good time for it. Real good time for it. You had the feeling Bregman going up in that spot was looking for a first pitch fastball, and we haven't seen too many sliders from Whitson today. I think that's the first one I can remember.
Yeah.
Almost 400 this year for Bregman with runners in scoring position. Last year's National Freshman of the Year, Alex Bregman.
You know, one thing that makes Whitson, I mean, what we had about a 2-week running argument is curveball as opposed to slider. The best sliders to me, and Berkey, you tell me from a hitter, are short. They're not, I mean, it's in Whitson's slider is short. There's not a ton of break in that, but still there's enough that he's going to miss a barrel and get some swing and misses. He throws it hard, but it's that tight late break that, see, Bregman's not really picking up.
Swing and a miss. Whitson fired up. Gets the strikeout. And he runs off the field. Carson Whitson and the Gators tied with LSU. When we come back, we will visit with the commissioner of the SEC, Mike Slive. Stay with us. We are scoreless. Moving to the bottom of the third inning, LSU, Florida for the SEC Tournament Championship. Couldn't get any better than this. The regular season champs against perhaps one of the hottest teams going with LSU. Dave Neal, Chris Burke, Kyle Peterson, and this guy right here happens to be the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, Mike Slive. We do this every year. It's always great this time of the year to get you here in the booth, talk to you about the season. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is the picture here and the crowd once again.
Amazing.
These fans love their SEC baseball.
They do, Dave. You know, we've drawn over 2 million fans again. They paid attendance this year in our games, about 2.2. And today's just a reflection of how much we love college baseball in the South.
The Southeastern Conference, when you go down the list and look at school by school, obviously Mississippi State earlier this year set the on-campus attendance record, over 15,000 in Starkville. But you look at the SEC and where they rank nationally, that's pretty solid, I would say, Commissioner.
That doesn't look bad at all, does it?
LSU, again,
that's
over 10,800.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And, you know, the tournament, again, is just, they tell us we'll have over 100,000 here for this tournament. You know, and we've only had one school for one game. We basically out from the state. So people have traveled to come to. And, you know, it's a way station now. People say, we got to get to Hoover, then we get to Omaha.
Yeah.
So it's not the coaches say, hey, we got to get to Hoover, and we got to get. That's how we get to Omaha.
So to that point, I mean, this year expand 12 teams opposed to 10 in the past. It wasn't that long ago. There was 8. So the decision to expand to 12, was it more based on, hey, we want to make sure nobody's missing out just because they don't get here?
Yeah, you know, it's a combination of things, Kyle. Part of it's that. Part of it's having a reasonable tournament. Part of it's having a race on both ends, you know, of the season, of the regular season. And then we finally found a format I think works, you know, with the single elimination early and the single elimination yesterday. And we've been able to, even though we go pretty late, we get a lot of baseball games in. So we're pretty pleased with what we have.
Well, Tobias draws the walk for Florida, hitting in that ninth hole. Now back to the top of the order, and Casey Turgeon to lead it off here in the bottom of the third inning, still scoreless. Commissioner, obviously, when you start thinking about the NCAA baseball selection show, I don't know that it's never been done before, but there's an opportunity right now for this league to get 10 teams into the tournament. Real testament, I guess, to the commitment to baseball in this conference.
Yeah, there's a huge commitment to baseball. There's a huge commitment to softball. You know, we had 11 teams go to the tournament, so the concept of having 10 has already been taken care of on the softball side. And, you know, the best teams ought to go. It ought to be, and if we've got the 10 or 11 best teams, they ought to be in the tournament and not worry about whether they come from one conference or another conference. So we're hoping.
I mean, it feels like we ask this every year, but I mean, what do you think's next? What's next for the game within the conference? And I guess what do you see next for the game across the country?
Well, I think the game is getting more and more popular. And when you watch the quality of play, Kyle, you know, every year I come. This is my 12th year, and I come and I watch the quality of play, and I'm constantly amazed at just how good these athletes are. How much bigger they are, how much stronger they are, and the coaching is superb. You know, it's hard to tell. For us, it's just making sure. You know, one of the things about the SEC is we've had a great run in everything, and we're in our golden age. And so the issue for me every day is, how do we stay there? How do we get better? How do we continue to meet the competition? What else do we have to do to make sure that we remain at the top of the mountain? And that goes for baseball and all of our sports.
Sure. Specifically for this tournament, obviously, as you said, it has evolved over the years. Is there any talk, and personally, I think you're right. I think you've nailed the format at this point. Is there any talk about going all 14? Is that ever part of the conversation?
It's always part of the coach's conversation, but it's not always part of the AD's conversation. So there's always talk about it, and I think our athletic directors will look at it every year. But you know, we're playing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so that's a lot of baseball.
Let's see if LSU can turn 2 here. Bregman, strong arm. They get Turgeon 2 down.
One question for you, Commissioner. Just kind of give me the latest, and I know that you and a lot of the other commissioners of the larger conferences have been very active with the NCAA lately. What's kind of the latest in the discussion back and forth?
Well, the NCAA started a little while ago to take a look at itself and the structure, and then the 5 conferences. And it's not just the 5 commissioners. They represent 65 institutions. Have come together and realized that we need to do some things that we want to do for our student athletes. So that concept became one of autonomy. And right now, the steering committee of the NCAA, who's charged with looking at it, has put forth a model. It includes autonomy, and it's being looked at by all of us during our conference meetings. It'll be the primary focus of our conversations in Destin. And then in August, the board will decide. But it's critically important that we move and change and evolve. You know, there's a lot of issues in college athletics. There always have been, there always will be, and everything's evolved. And so I've felt at least that we're witness now to an historic moment in the history of the NCAA.
It looks like it, absolutely.
Commissioner, obviously another topic of conversation, and it's big in the South, and I think it's growing as we're getting closer to football season, is the SEC Network. First of all, how excited are you to see this come to fruition, and where are we right now in terms of people getting it?
Well, we couldn't be more excited about it. And from a baseball perspective, we're going to televise at least 75 baseball games on the SEC Network, including the early rounds of this baseball tournament. So for baseball fans, you know, it's a must-get. And we're going to have 45 football games. We're about 80 days away from launch. We're going to have 6 football games on the first weekend. Every school is going to be on the first month. It's just going to be, for people who are interested in the SEC, and I include those who love us and those who don't like us. You know, there's going to be a lot of SEC in all of our sports and our Olympic sports, and then they can see for themselves how we can feature these kids.
Well, Commissioner, stay with us. We've got some more questions to throw at you a little bit, so please stay with us. We're still scoreless at the SEC Tournament Championship game in Hoover. Move to the top of the 4th, and kind of what we expected a little bit. Tight ball game between the Gators and the Tigers for the SEC Tournament Championship. Of course, LSU won this last year. Florida won the championship back in 2011. Dave Neal back alongside Commissioner Mike Slive, Chris Burke, Kyle Peterson, and staying with us, Commissioner, to answer a few more questions. And, you know, we touched a little bit on the SEC Network, but tell the folks out there how they can go about and get it and what they need to do to get it, make sure they get it for football season.
Well, if you have ATT verse, Dave, you've got it. So stay where you are.
Okay.
If you have Dish, you've got it. You're comfortable. Up to now, if you don't, go to getsecnetwork.com and just let everybody, your provider, know that you're interested in the games. And we hope certainly by launch that we'll have some additional providers, and that over time we know that it's such a wonderful offering. It's so much great athletics, and there's so many great student athletes to celebrate that we're confident over time that we'll be everywhere. But right now, it's available to everybody nationally on Dish.
Well, Carson Whitson covers first base. Nice play by the Gators. Zach Powers over at first as Jake Fraley is retired. Commissioner,
you mentioned kind of a golden era in the conference, and certainly across the board, whether it's women's athletics, men's athletics, it seems like the Southeastern Conference is excelling. One sport who actually had a great top end to their season, but the back end has been scuffling is hoops, is college basketball. Is that a big topic of discussion within the league and the athletic directors? Is the college basketball programs?
We, a couple of years ago, we decided to come to grips with the fact that we were getting fewer and fewer appearances in the NCAA tournament. And so the first thing we did was Mark Whitworth, a longtime associate commissioner, we moved him to men's basketball, and that's all he does year-round. Our athletic directors then voted unanimously to every non-conference schedule has to be approved by the conference office so that we can get the non-conference games to the level that we want them. We've brought in some consultants to help us do the metrics, and so clearly we've made a commitment to making sure that we keep men's basketball where we want it to be. You know, we've won 3 national championships in the short time that I've been here. So, I mean, it's not as if we're not playing well, but recently we haven't been satisfied. So we've made an enormous commitment now to make sure that our men's basketball is doing what our other sports are doing.
Sean McMullen at the plate, fouls it back 2-1. And Commissioner, the spring meetings in Destin's for the last 3 or 4 years, we've been talking about football schedules. Finally, looks like we've got that settled. I'm assuming we've got that settled. You never know until you get down there.
I hope so too.
You mentioned the NCAA a little bit. That'll be a topic of conversation among the presidents, ADs, all those folks. What else will be on the agenda?
You know, this is a very nice year for the conference office because we really don't have anything that's controversial. There's always something. You know, we'll wait about 10 minutes after all our coaches arrive, and there'll be a lot of things to talk about, the things that I have no idea that we're going to be talking about. But in terms of what we're planning, it's mostly about restructuring, about the SEC network, and some routine kinds of things. But there's no major issue other than those that are really that people are really looking forward to talking about.
I guess you get to hand out some checks too, right? That's always a good part of it.
We do try to do that, and we've been known to do that on occasion, and do it well. So that is a fun time for us.
You know, you talk about commitment. Another place that's making a revived commitment is just up the road. Alabama now reviving their stadium. That'll be done. I think they're potentially going to play some games here next year. How important do you see, because no conference has made the commitment just monetarily to baseball facilities, how important do you think that is to what has happened in this conference?
Well, I think it is important, Kyle. I think it tells young prospects and kids from all over the country that baseball is important, that we take it seriously, that you have if you're really a good baseball player, you're going to be seen, you're going to get to be known, and the fans are going to appreciate you. You know, that's something that's a little bit different. If you take the crowd here, they're going to appreciate what you do and how you do it. So I think that just adds to the overall ambiance of baseball in our part of the country.
Off the chest of Tobias. He's got Savic running, so he had some time, and he gets the out. Commissioner, thanks again for coming by. We'll let you get over there and enjoy a little bit of this baseball. We've kept you long enough, but it is truly the golden era of SEC athletics, and you're a big part of that. So keep up the good work, because I know this. I enjoyed all year going around and just kind of feasting on SEC athletics. So thanks for allowing me the opportunity to do it.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good seeing you. We have a blast doing it. Good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mike Slive heading down to Destin for the SEC spring meetings. As he said, it's a time to kind of enjoy the success of this conference for the first time in a while without any major political issues going on. They can just go in there and count the money.
A bit more of a relaxing trip this year.
We've seen Josh Tobias make a couple of plays at third base here this afternoon that have been top shelf. Tyler Moore drives one deep to left center. Running catch is made by Bader. Oh, my goodness. What a play by the center fielder from Florida.
Well, we've been talking about it, the formula for Florida success. Challenge hitters and then make plays defensively. And Harrison Bader can go get them with anybody. Stretching out, Florida makes another big play to cut down an LSU chance.
Florida LSU, bottom of the fourth. Harrison Bader with a big time. You want to know why Florida won the SEC regular season championship when their numbers don't look so impressive? It's because they do stuff like this, that in the fourth inning you don't really think about it.
Well, it's a run-saving catch, and this is a ballpark that allows center fielders the freedom to go get baseballs. And how many times you see it? The guy makes a great play, leads off the next inning.
1 out of 9 times.
That's a good one, Jay. That was good. That's a Stanford guy.
Yeah,
that's a Stanford guy throwing that out there, doing that math for us.
Way to keep that going.
Here's Bader at 3, 1 out of 9 times. It's unbelievable. Bader, 338.
Look how much ground he covers here. And what I like, too, is the angle was precise. You didn't see over and then back. It was straight back. Really good drop step to that ball. The dive was maybe a little unnecessary, but we're not going to, if he wants to try to, he's going to try to get on the highlights. I don't blame him.
You were Mr. Highlight.
Oh, come on now, slow down. But, you can't win a Gold Glove on your feet, Dave. That's what the great Orlando Hudson used to tell me. You can't win a Gold Glove on your feet, man. You got to dive to get a Gold Glove.
If you're Tyler Moore and you get robbed like that, you hit it well. I mean, you feeling good, or are you feeling like?
Oh, no, you're feeling miserable.
Right.
I mean, for me personally, I would rather pop up to the catcher than get robbed of a double, especially a run-scoring double.
There's a strike, 3 and 2 on Bader now.
And I'm not saying that's a majority,
right?
But for me personally, you know me, Dave, I'd be crying about that tomorrow still,
And the next day, and the next day. Yeah, I know you.
If you were my teammate, you'd have to hear about that a while. I mean, can you believe he caught that ball? I can't believe he caught that ball.
Bader taking his time, getting in. Looks a little frustrated with that last strike called against him. Cartwright dealing, and that one misses. Give us a chance to head to our studios, check in with Matt Schick.
Thank you, Dave. Update here from the studio. Xavier wins the Big East Championship. Rice takes Conference USA. Louisiana takes the Sun Belt, and Nebraska in front of 18,000 red-clad Loons in Omaha, trailing by 3 in the ninth.
Boy, I tell you what, I saw some pictures from there.
20,000, almost 20,000 at TD Ameritrade today.
I mean, that's just great. I mean, that really is great for the game.
Absolutely. It's the largest attendance number for a conference final ever. They're just getting ready for a few weeks from now. This is like dress rehearsal.
Selection show for the NCAA tournament field of 64 tomorrow at noon Eastern time.
And Nebraska will be back in it. They will hear their name called regardless of what happens today. Indiana should be a national seed.
Line by Gushu to second. This could be 2. Bregman, quick turn. There you go. The second one they have turned 4-6-3.
Well, I tell you what, I love how Connor Hale prepares to body this ball up. You don't know what kind of hop you're going to get, but he squares up to it. Fortunately, catches it cleanly. Perfect feed. Bregman finishes the easy part. And we have been treated to a defensive display here this afternoon.
Pretty crisp today.
Strike to Braden Matson. There's that breaking ball from Cartwright. Old school curveball right there. I like that.
We in agreement there, KP?
Yeah, I'll go with you on
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Good.
We've had a debate about a slider versus curveball on a few occasions this week. And for some reason, I got the feeling you don't want to call a pitch a slurve. I got the feeling that kind of irritated you a little bit.
No. I'll just let you say it.
Okay. See, once again, I get the feeling that you don't really want to talk about a slurve. Right back up the middle, and Bregman can't catch up to that, so a base hit. And the first hit of the game for the Florida Gators. Be sure to catch more baseball on ESPN with a couple of Major League Baseball holiday games. At 1, Big Papi leads the Red Sox against Freddie Freeman and the Atlanta Braves. Then at 4, Derek Jeter and the Yankees take on the Cardinals. It's Major League Baseball holiday games Monday at 1 and 4 on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. You know, I think today when the game started, if you're LSU and Paul Mainieri, if you could get 5 innings out of Cartwright, you would feel like this would be a huge bonus.
Most pitches he's thrown in the game this year is 49. He's already over that. He's at 52 so far today. I think 4 innings a few different times, but I talked to Paul before the game, and he said, you know what, if we could get 5, that was kind of the magic number. We get 5, that's a great day. Because their bullpen is ready to go.
You know, LSU came into this game. They had played 25 innings of baseball. Florida has played 36 innings of baseball. LSU run ruled 2 teams in this tournament. So in that regard, you know that in terms of the bullpen for LSU, they've got every arm available. Zach Powers, the first baseman. He's got 3 home runs on the year with a dozen RBIs. 1-1 the count.
That's Schick talking about a few finals in so far. Rice, a winner also today, too. Good little changeup right there from Cartwright going away. And the reason those matter, everybody knew Rice was going to get in, but You want those that are going to get in to win their conference if you're wondering whether or not you're going to get an at-large, because if UT San Antonio wins today, that takes another at-large. The Campbell Camels are in. Last year's, I think, biggest snub for a team that didn't get in as an at-large, but this year Campbell doesn't have to worry about it. They win the Big South.
How many games did they win last year?
It's over 50. 51, 52, I think. It is like saying Campbell Camels. It just sounds good.
Runner goes. Slapped into left. Fraley makes the catch, and that'll do it. Coming up, 7, 8, and 9. Alden Cartwright doing his job on the bump for the Tigers. One hit apiece as we go to the top of the 5th inning. LSU, Florida for the SEC Tournament Championship game. And boy, defense has been key today.
Yeah, they've been playing solid defense all tournament, but today it's been exceptional. Both clubs turning double plays, diving plays, finishing plays. And we see Bader here with a run-saving catch last inning for Florida. The type of ball you would expect to see in an SEC title game, and the emotions from both sides of the fence there. It's been a showcase of pitching and defense here, and again, these are the types of games you want to see in a conference title, especially of the caliber of this league.
How about Karsten Whitson, by the way, as Connor Hale steps in? Guys, maybe it was this stage and this setting that needed him to get that laser focus back. He has been really good today.
I'm going to tell you something, if they're going to make a run, because if there's one thing when you look at, Logan Shore has been their ace, and you need that guy. You need the guy that you can hang your hat on, but he's still a freshman. But after that, it's hard to say, okay, who's our lock number 2 that's really been that guy all year? And if Whitson, I'm not saying he pushes in a number 2 slot, but you're going to need him if you're going to make a run. And the way that he is today, it's a lot like he did his freshman year.
Well, and you can't overstate. I mean, don't forget our opener. I mean, LSU is the hottest team in America. I mean, they're scoring runs at an alarming rate. And Karsten Whitson, you know, is showing you why he was a first-round pick. It's 91 to 96 with a late, tight slider, and he's just running through this LSU lineup with ease at the moment.
Folks, let me give you an idea. Berkey said maybe the hottest team in America, and there might be somebody out there going, that's a big statement. But let me just tell you this. During this 7-game win streak, they have outscored their opponents 85 to 8 with a team ERA of 1.26. I'm going to run off these scores real quick for you just to give you an idea. 27 to nothing, 10 to nothing, 11 to 1, 8 to 1, 11 to 1, 7 to 2, 11 to 1.
So when we say this is an impressive start to a game, that's where we're coming from. We saw LSU dominate Arkansas yesterday, and now Karsten Whitson.
There's a chopper. Turgeon scoops, throws on the run, and got Stevenson. 2 down.
Boy, I tell you what, I love how he closed ground late. You know, it's all about angles and ball speed and knowing the speed of the runner when you're playing middle infield. Watch how he gets around. Watch this last move. He goes forward there with the glove, not up. He plays the ball, doesn't let the ball play him. And then, of course, the smooth transition, the accurate throw. But that last move there with the glove hand to get the short hop, that's what makes that catch. So many times you'll see an infielder come up with the glove and catch a ball off the wrist or the forearm, but you see the best ones go get it on that last hop. That's the difference of making those tough plays.
Turgeon's been sharp today at second base. Here's Ibarra. He was hitting the back his first time up. He's the one guy in this lineup that just hasn't been there offensively. Big cut out to center field. Bader backpedals, and he'll make the catch. And Karsten Whitson, folks, I'm a little reluctant to say he's back, but he is certainly making his way down that path. Bottom of the 5th coming up. You know, when things are going well, you can laugh a little bit, joke around, and that's the case. Ibarra, this is what happened yesterday if you haven't seen it. The foul ball off his head, back into play, Bregman there to make the catch. So today, Coach Maneri in the pregame working with Christian to make sure we get the fundamentals down.
Yeah, we got to put a glove on that forehead, Dave.
You hear him laughing?
Yeah,
I love it.
Christian's like, yeah, Coach, why don't you wear a ball up the forehead? See how funny you think it is.
Yeah, I only heard one guy laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
Ibarra, though, has taken it in stride. The senior, junior college transfer out of Rio Hondo College from out in California. And Nate Fury gets the ball now. He takes over for Alden Cartwright, who did a marvelous job. The numbers on Fury, 23rd appearance, ERA 3.10. He has worked 20 innings, 16 strikeouts for number 29, 5'11", 193-pounder, the senior. He transferred in from Delgado Community College.
You know, their starters have been so good in this SEC tournament. For LSU, their relievers haven't had much work, and I think part of this right now is you want to make sure that Fury gets an inning or two here, and I think you probably see the bullpen maybe piece it together one inning apiece just to get a few guys out there. You don't want guys sitting for a week and a half, 2 weeks before you roll into regionals.
Well, and this has been a formula that they have used almost all year long on Tuesdays, on their Tuesday games. So this isn't a situation that they're uncomfortable with. They do this a lot on their Tuesday games where they go 3 and then 1-1-1 the rest of the way out with their bullpen. So LSU is comfortable in this scenario and have used it in the midweek almost all season long.
Peter Alonso steps in, 7, 8, 9 coming up for the Gators. I go back, I mean, a week ago, and talking to Paul Maneri and a dugout in Auburn, Alabama, and wondering if there was going to be an opportunity for them to host a regional, and felt like he might be the 5th team. And dicey situation when you think about 5 of 16. As Fury gets the strikeout of Alonso, and here we sit today, and they very well may play themselves into a top 8 seed.
Yeah, that's how quickly things can change. As you see Fury with the good tight breaking ball, that ball almost looks like it's a fastball up and in. You see it just take a nosedive late, leaves Alonso frozen there. Great start here from Fury.
KP, you think no matter what happens here, Florida's the #1 seed?
Yeah, I do. I think that. I mean, I think they've done everything that you want them to do. I mean, I don't know what else you can. #1 strength of schedule. They won the SEC. I mean, again, I don't think it makes much of a difference whether you're 1, 2, or 3. I don't know that it matters, but I think they've done everything that you needed to be in that spot.
There's the man who got the start today for LSU, Alden Cartwright. Had 4 walks, but you know, on the big board, in the column that matters, there's a 0 sitting there next to Florida. 56 pitches, a season high for the freshman. Well, it had to be a thrill for him. Baton Rouge native coming here, starting the SEC tournament championship game.
Yeah, he'll remember that one forever. You can tell his little boy one day that he towed the rubber in the SEC title game for the Tigers. And threw up 4 scoreless.
Talking to Paul before this game too, Cartwright's a guy that just, I mean, he grew up a Tiger fan. That's a uniform he wanted to wear. This is a pretty special day for a lot of reasons, I think.
Tobias, who has reclaimed that 3rd base role for Florida. He's a guy that started last year, started at the beginning of this year, but really having a tough time driving in runs. Matter of fact, you look at Tobias, 8 RBIs, had 1 of them yesterday. Also had a home run earlier in this tournament. Lost it to John Sternagel, a youngster, but has fought his way back, didn't get frustrated, is back and penciled in the lineup every day.
That's my postseason Gator pick to click right there.
Well, you were on him yesterday. Came up with a big 2-out RBI, and it was alarming, the lack of production as deep as mid-May from Tobias. But, well, he's come on strong lately and adds to the depth of this lineup.
He's gotten his average up to 292. Behind 0-1 to Nate Fury in the LSU Tigers. This is one of the reasons why you want to have him in the lineup, folks. Ooh. That's just good stuff.
Yeah, you love the full extension and the ability to manipulate the glove even when you're diving to finish that catch.
These are two clubs in the last few years that have made a home in Omaha in July. That team in 2011 that Florida had.
It's the best team in the country.
Whew, they were so
And it
good.
was absolutely the best team in the country. But they go 2 and out when they got to Omaha.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those things, too. I mean, I think there was so much draft talk that year and all those guys and how high they were going to go and everything else. But from a talent standpoint, there was no comparison. Wow. Seen some pretty good right-handed pickoff moves so far today.
Yeah, we're seeing some right-handers with some quick feet and short arms, and that makes it tough. You see Reed looks like he was going there. Certainly gets back in time. Remember, you young base stealers out there, if you flinch a little bit, get to the back side of the base. Make that first baseman reach as long as he has to get the tag in.
So what you're saying, you're not talking to me when you give that advice? That's what you're saying?
Well, I said young and base stealers, so I don't think you fit
You're over.
in that equation. But maybe you're a little guy.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about it. I'll tell him this is how your dad used to do it back in the day.
Oh, wow. And he wants to see the video of that.
He didn't have video then.
Black and white.
Tobias swings and misses, hit and run. Here's a throw down, and Buddy Reed is nailed.
I just love it when they guess right. I love that play because it's one of the beauties of the game is the cat and mouse back and forth. When are they going to go? You think at some point they're going to go during the bat. Tobias did everything he could, but it's timed it right.
Here's the deal. Watch him look in. Oh, he doesn't look in, KP. So, and that's the issue. What you will see from veteran base stealers is if it's a hit and run, the third step should always be a look in. And if you see pitch out, you can put on the brakes and go back. Does it work every time? No. But Buddy Reed does not look in right there. He has no clue they've pitched out, and he's dead to rights at second base.
And now 2 strikes on Tobias. Pop up right side. Mark Laird camped out. Inning over. Buddy Reed thrown out at second by Cade Savick. Inning over. Still scoreless. SEC Tournament Championship game. I mean, that's how you do a ball game right there. Now, I don't know how he got that in, but that's how you do it.
Was it a hammock?
Yeah.
That's solid.
Great crowd here. A lot of purple and gold. Just a great sight here at Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. As you look at the LSU lineup, the only hit for the Tigers, Cade Savick. Top of the order coming up right now is Mark Laird, the leadoff man, followed by Bregman and Fraley. Karsten Whitson has been dynamite to this point. Now the order has flipped. Let's see if there are any adjustments by LSU at the plate. That's in there for a strike right at the letters to Laird, who was grounded out a couple of times today. Smokes it past Turgeon. Leadoff single for Mark Laird. Well, be sure to catch more baseball tonight on ESPN when Adam Wainwright leads the Cardinals against Brandon Phillips and the Reds. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. St. Louis, Cincy, 8 o'clock. ESPN also live on Watch ESPN. Well, here comes a tough out. Mr. Bregman, the shortstop, struck out his last time up. And now there's a look at his bat. Boy, there are a lot of games going on between the games. Look at him shaking his head like, are you kidding me?
Interesting.
Yes.
Oh, I tell you what, man. East versus West, 2 power programs. We had a little high slide earlier in the game. We're going to check the other team's best player's bat.
What do you think he was looking at? See if there was a dent or something?
Yeah, that's the way he ran his hands down there.
Yeah.
You got to have pretty good eyes from the dugout if you could see a dent in a bat.
I mean, Bregman shakes his head like, are you kidding me? You don't think he wants to get a hit right now, do you?
No. Something tells me he wants to put one in the bullpen and maybe take his time a little bit, but you got to learn to channel that in a situation like this.
Tell you what, Bregman, about 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, his grandfather passed away right before LSU went on a 7-game streak. He was supposed to have a funeral out in California. He was very close to his grandfather. They postponed it till Wednesday, allowed him to play in a 27-0 win by LSU over Northwestern State. He would have an 8 RBI game on Tuesday night with a grand slam. Wednesday morning, got on an airplane, flew all the way out to Los Angeles for the funeral, hung out with his family. Coach Maneri said, take all the time you need. We do not need you back. He said that my grandfather would be angry with me if I didn't come back and play a game. He got on a red eye, landed Thursday morning in Atlanta, picked up by Alan Dunn, pitching coach, who was out recruiting, picked him up in Atlanta, drove to Auburn, played in the first game of that series on a Thursday night, and has been on a tear offensively since that whole situation went down. I mean, it's truly remarkable. And he was his grandfather's a guy that would call him after every game if he wasn't at the game. Swing and a miss, and that'll be a stolen base for Laird. Oh, foul ball at the plate. Everybody heading back. But really close to his grandfather, really helped him learn the game. So, you know, a heavy heart, but certainly you think in the back of his mind he's playing a little bit for his grandfather.
Well, Paul Maneri told us earlier in the year that if LSU was going to accomplish their goals, Alex Bregman had to be right in the middle of it. And certainly his production, his increased production has coincided with the team catching fire. And at the exact right time, he has found his stroke.
Bregman, base hit. That may only go down as a single, but I think that means a little bit more to old number 8. Yeah. Check my bat, he said. Now, is that a home plate umpire decision, or is that a request?
I got to imagine that's a request.
I didn't see the request, but I would be surprised if there wasn't a request that was lobbed out there.
Kevin O'Sullivan out to talk to his right-hander, who until now had been dealing. Now, this is the top of the order. It's the 3rd time through.
Yeah. And I tell you what I've seen here, both hits on sliders. And we realize it's been primarily fastball, but there have been some good sliders this afternoon. But it appears as though, and rightfully so, you could see perfectly why fatigue would start to come into play. It's a hot afternoon. You get Whitson out there who hasn't pitched deep into many ball games of late. And so the slider's starting to hang, and LSU starting to take more comfortable swings up there.
Tell you what, Karsten Whitson does not want to come out of this game. He is a bulldog on the mound. I think that's one of the things that I really like watching him pitch, especially as a freshman. He was not intimidated on that deep staff. He wanted the ball.
Not from day one.
Yeah.
The question here is with LSU that does not like to play small ball, but you get a 0-0 game here in the top of the 6th. 1st and 2nd. We saw Fraley bunt for a hit yesterday. Runs very well. I got to believe we're going to see a bunt here.
Look how the Gators will play. Fraley, Tobias almost on the grass at 3rd. Same can be said for Powers over at 1st. 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Laird is at 2nd. Bregman is over at 1st. I mean, is this a no-brainer sack situation here?
You know it is, but as Whitson came set right there, Fraley didn't show it. So
I'd let him swing. I'd let him swing.
A couple of sack bunts for Fraley, the freshman. He's hitting .379 with 3 homers on the year. He does square, lays down the bunt, down to 3rd, plays over to 1st, so Fraley does it. One down, and runners are at second and third for the cleanup hitter, Sean McMullen.
Asked to do a job, and he did it. I mean, that's exactly what you want to do. Force the third baseman to vacate third. Tobias had to come get it. Pushes everybody else up 90 feet.
Now the question for the Florida defense is do we come in and try to cut down this run, or are you going to play back and allow them to score on a ground ball through the middle of the field? And it looks like Florida's going to play it. It looks like we're going to get an intentional walk here, which is a smart move. Whitson with a good sinker. You got Savic, the catcher, on deck. Certainly a double play candidate. They're gonna walk McMullen here and see if they can't get out of this inning with a double play ball.
Gators have already turned one double play today. And that's the guy, Cade Savic, who will have a chance with the bases loaded in the 6th inning.
KP, you ever had any trouble with the intentional walk?
I hated him.
Wait, did you lob it? Did you throw it hard?
No, I mean, you know, you can't air it out, but I think you got to put something into it. Yeah, it's.
You see some pictures. Yeah, you see some pictures. You really struggle with it.
Well, think about Ole Miss this year.
Yeah.
Auburn trying to intentionally walk an Ole Miss hitter, and he hit a game-winning home run.
Yeah, Austin Anderson walk-off.
That wasted about 500 fine solo cups out in right field.
So McMullen will head down to first. And Cade Savic. Bases are loaded. Laird's over at first. Bregman stands at second. They both singled. Fraley with a sacrifice. Then McMullen just walks. And here is Cade Savic. 1 out of 2 today. His average at .314. The LSU catcher has 6 homers and 30 runs batted in.
I tell you what, Carson Winston, it's been an up and down career, and certainly from the time he walked on canvas to now. But here he finds himself in a pretty big moment on about as big a stage as you can have as an SEC player. Bases loaded here in the title game.
A little bit low. Nice job by Gashu behind the plate.
Yeah, I got to tell you, too, we've seen Whitson for 4 years. I'm glad to see him throw like this in this spot.
Yeah.
We get the draft coming up and everything else, but still, I mean, this kid has battled through a lot. And it's good to see him go out and throw well. Velocity's been good in the big spot. Double barrel action down in that Florida bullpen right now.
Boy, he's trying to keep it down. He's trying to get that double play ball.
When the sinker has been working, and sometimes you overthrow that sinker, you really try to get it down. And now you find yourself in a 2-0 count against a red-hot Cade Savic.
There it is to short. Martin to Turgeon. Can he turn it? Yes. Gators get out of it. Huge double play. Karsten Whitson is dealing.
I think the question was, could you throw a sinker in the zone? First 2 out, 2-0, stuck with the sinker. Taylor made 6-4-3, and the reaction afterwards, good to see this kid throw the baseball the way that he has today. 6 scoreless so far for Whitson. Scoreless overall to the bottom of the 6th.
You know, you love baseball when it's played at such a high level, and when decisions are made and they come to fruition. I mean, even if you don't have a rooting interest, you got to love when things like this turn out. It's just well-played baseball we've seen here today at Hoover.
Yeah, both sides, and that's what you like. I mean, it's what you're seeing a reaction right now for Whitson, because everybody in that white uniform knows what the kid has battled through over the last 3 years. Injury being a part of it. He had such a great freshman year, and there's been a lot of eyes on him. A lot of eyes. There's been a lot of radar guns on him. It's good to see a kid fight through the things that he has and then throw the ball the way that he has today.
Casey Turgeon to lead it off. Looks at a first pitch strike from Nate Fury. Turgeon has been steady at second base, but 0 for 2 at the plate today. He's grounded into a double play. Oh, change up in there. How about Fury in relief of Alden Cartwright, who went 4 innings without giving up a run.
If you're LSU right now, I mean, the one thing we've talked about is offensively how good they've been over the last 2 weeks. I mean, the ERA is about 1.
Line, but right to Connor Hale. Turgeon barreled it up.
Yeah, he's hit a couple balls hard today, and he sat back on that breaking ball. Man, it's a shame they got 8 fielders out there to try to catch him, as a hitter. I know, Kyle, you're smiling every time somebody lines out, but
I actually put F4.
Don't give the hitter any credit, okay? Come on. He hit it hard. I'm with Berkey on that.
Yeah, I don't care what jersey you're wearing. If you line out, I feel bad for you.
Here's Richie Martin, the shortstop. 269 on the year with a homer and 26 runs batted in. Top of the order coming up for the Gators here in the 6th. I'll be honest, I thought we would have a very close competitive game today. I just didn't think we'd have zeros in the run column.
Well, I don't know if there's any team that has an arm like Whitson left at the end of a tournament like this. And that is the ace in the hole for the Gators. And really probably the only type of arm that could possibly slow this LSU club down. And when you think about the fact that he's posted 6 zeros here this afternoon, it is a remarkable effort on his part.
Let me tell you something, though. It makes for, and you'd like to have a tough decision like this, but it's going to make for a tougher decision for Kevin O'Sullivan when it gets to a Game 3 situation, whether it's in a Super or whether it's in a regional. Because it's not what they've seen the entire year. It's what they've been hoping to see.
I think if you're 2-0 in a regional,
then
it's a much easier case. Yeah. That Game 3 of a Super.
Or if you're 1-1 in a Super.
Yeah.
Because it's tempting. If you get this, he can beat anybody in the country.
Over to first base. Tyler Moore says he has it, and he does. Oh, we've got more Major League Baseball coming your way. The holiday games. At 1, Big Papi leads the Red Sox against Freddie Freeman and the Braves. Then at 4, Derek Jeter and the Yankees take on the Cards. It's Major League Baseball holiday games Monday at 1 and 4 on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. That little guy, happy to be an LSU Tiger fan. A little family day in the picnic area. One day, son. One day. Time called at the plate for Harrison Bader.
I tell you, we've certainly given Whitson his due this afternoon, and well deserved, but how about this Tiger staff? I mean, boy, these guys have executed all afternoon long, and Florida's been swinging the bats. 6 runs yesterday. They have been swinging the bats well of late as well, and this LSU staff.
Right back to Nate Fury. Throws over to first, and that'll do it. So Fury gets the Gators. The top of the lineup goes down. Coming up for LSU at 6, 7, and 8. Well, some other teams that have made it to the field of 64. Columbia wins the Ivy League. How about Dallas Baptist out of Missouri Valley? Their last regional was 2012 in Waco. George Mason gets in. They last played the NCAA tournament back in 2009. North Dakota State, boy, they are on a great roll.
Say it right. What do you got?
Bison.
Attaboy.
Football, basketball, baseball. They win the Summit Championship. Their last trip to the NCAA baseball tournament, 1956. Don't forget, all 64 teams will be announced at noon Eastern time tomorrow on ESPNU. You don't want to miss it.
Regional sites that'll come out tonight. I think it's about 9 Eastern that the 16 regional sites will be released, and then we'll count them all down tomorrow.
Look at Karsten Whitson, 64 pitches. Yeah, that's you know, you and I were all just kind of talking about, like, how long do you ride him? I say with 64 pitches.
I agree. I think you keep going, but I think the one thing that you've seen today that I think is important is he's pitching to contact. He's pitching to contact with his fastball. I bet he's throwing 80 to 85% fastballs today. Not shying away from bats and not trying to miss bats with that slider.
Pop Tyler Moore up. It's 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, and that's a big part of the process for a pitcher is to move past that point where you feel like you got to strike everybody out and then allow your defense to play for you.
Oh, and 1 on Moore. Boy, Whitson hit him right in the leg with a breaking ball. So Moore will head down to first.
Well, you wanted to know how long. It looked like Sully was going to give him a chance to go 7, but a free pass to start the top of this frame, and that looks like that'll be it for Karsten Whitson.
Boy, Whitson doesn't want to leave this game. He's going to give up the ball. Karsten Whitson, despite having to leave here in the top of the 7th, marvelous job by the Gator right-hander. He leaves in a scoreless affair. We'll update the change on the other side. Boy, what a confidence boost for that young man. Had 3 walks today, only 1 strikeout, and KP, you hit on it. He was not afraid to pitch to contact today.
I think at times, just because his stuff is so good that you try to finish guys off, and he would get guys in later counts earlier in his career. There's nothing wrong with getting it out on the first pitch, second pitch, third pitch, and he did that pretty consistently today.
Here's Ryan Harris, his 27th appearance of the year for Florida. He gets the ball, the right-hander, a junior out of Jupiter, Florida. The numbers on Harris, pretty good, 2.65 ERA. Opponents hit just .218 against Ryan. He'll work against Hale, who drops down to bunt. Only play is going to be the underhand scoop over to first, so LSU playing for that lone run, which may be the difference today. Tyler Moore will wind up at second base.
Boys, I know it's going to break your heart, but I got to leave you after this half inning.
I was hoping you'd go last inning.
I'm sorry. I know. Try to hold back the disappointment.
No, but you
Charlotte tonight.
It's work related.
It is. Some call this work. Got to get to Charlotte tonight. Get ready for the selection show tomorrow.
When's the copter? Are you taking the copter?
Yeah, they should get it fired up here in a minute.
Yeah. Send the signal.
Good to be the king. Although I will say this, my man drove all the way from here to Charlotte in the middle of the night last year to get to the selection show.
Pulled in about 3:30 local.
That one is slapped foul out of play. 0-1 on Andrew Stevenson.
Our fine producer Tom Schofield and I solved most of the world's problems along the way over to Charlotte last year.
I thought I was texting when I was at my living room back in Atlanta. I think I was texting you every hour on the hour. You there yet? Nope.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't think that you were. I'm pretty certain that you were.
Popped him up. Center field. Bader will make the catch, and Tyler Moore back to second base. Second out of the inning for LSU. So Christian Ibarra, the 9-hole hitter, who's been hit by a pitch, fly out to center field, working against Ryan Harris now.
Well, we referenced it earlier that Christian Ibarra has been kind of the left-out member of the Tiger hit parade here over the last couple of weeks. What a opportune moment for him to join the party.
First pitch swinging, popped him up in the infield. Who's going to make the play? Turgeon. Karsten Whitson happy with the results. We are scoreless. Bottom of the 7th coming up.
I love stand beside the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, our home, sweet home.
On a Memorial Day weekend. Doesn't get any better than that.
That was outstanding.
Thank you to everybody that has served and protected this great country of ours. It's a time to honor and celebrate those. And the SEC has done a fantastic job here this weekend of making sure that we all appreciate those that have done so much for us. Well, we move to the bottom of the 7th. Kyle Peterson off to Charlotte. Gives us an opportunity to bring in a guy that follows the game of baseball about as well as anybody in America. Kendall Rogers of Perfect Game. Thanks for joining us. It's that time of the year, Kendall, where everybody speculates on what's going to happen. And let's start first of all with national seeds and where we stand right now. Because I know yesterday you pretty set. Maybe at the back end some things might change.
Yeah, I thought Kyle and I saw this last night at dinner, but apparently not. You know what's interesting right now is I think you look at 7 teams more than likely are locks right now. I think the Big 12 championship winner today between Oklahoma State and TCU. I think when you look at the number 2 conference RPI, I think the winner of that gets a national seed. And so that leaves you with the 8th spot. And I think you got some pretty intriguing teams there. You obviously look at LSU. I think South Carolina is strongly in that mix. When you look at the fact that they won so many games, despite the fact they had so many injuries throughout the year. I think they're in the mix. Ole Miss certainly in the mix, and you know, in Miami too. I don't think the ACC is going to get 3 national seats. So I think Miami's the odd man out, but those are the teams we're looking at. And from what I've heard, even Vanderbilt's in the discussion earlier. I think they're a team that'll just host. They won't be a national seed, but that kind of tells you the level of respect the committee has for the SEC this year, and that probably bodes well for somebody like an A&M as well.
Well, you look at the SEC and the RPI in Florida, with despite 20 losses, Kendall, the number 1 RPI strength of schedule, are they a sure lock as the number 1 seed?
In Florida? Yeah, I think Florida certainly has a case. I mean, you look at their resume. I mean, their wins versus RPI top 25, their wins versus RPI top 50. Absolutely amazing. It's kind of funny. I was talking to Kevin O'Sullivan yesterday. We were talking about the fact they got almost 30 wins against RPI top 100, and he laughed. He said, "Yeah," he goes, "and then we go off and lose to Florida A&M." So it's been a fun year for those guys. You know what? I've been impressed with Carson Whitson, the outing that he had. I mean, his slider was big time. His fastball's up to 95.
Here's Bregman at short, trying to get Gusher, and he does. Boy, that's Alex Bregman, folks. Last year's National Freshman of the Year. Playing shortstop for LSU and playing it very well.
Yeah, and watch the footwork here by Bregman as he moves to his left. Watch the throw, right, left, right, and never stops his momentum and throws that ball accurately. You want to talk about athleticism, coordination, and accuracy. Alex Bregman showing you why he's an All-American type player.
By the way, LSU with a change on the mound. They go with Zach Pearson, the left-hander, gets the ball. Zach, a junior college transfer out of Eunice, Louisiana. Went to LSU Eunice before coming to Baton Rouge. He's put together some decent numbers out of that bullpen. Rafe Rhymes came out of that LSU Eunice program. His LSU career was, I would say, pretty solid.
Not bad.
Did pretty well.
There's some pretty good programs in that state when you look at LSU Eunice and Delgado. Yeah. Both big-time powers.
And I don't think LSU doesn't use those as a pretty good foundation to wrap up recruiting classes. Braden Matson will step in. 1-1 on Matson. He swings and misses. Big cut.
You know, I think one of the interesting things about this tournament this week are the number of teams that you watch and you're like, I don't want to face those guys in the regional. Obviously, LSU is one of those teams. Kentucky and Arkansas for me as well. I mean, you look at Kentucky getting back Kyle Cody, Chandler Shepard on the mound with their offense, and you look at Arkansas with their pitching. I wouldn't want to play those teams in the postseason. Add Cal State Fullerton on the Big West that list as well.
Down in the dirt, Savick will throw down, and Matson strikes out. All right, now here you go. We're going to put you to the test. We're going to throw up some blind resumes, RPI, strength of schedule, conference record, and then against top 50 RPIs. When you look at those teams and those numbers, now you got to digest them a little bit. Which of those do you think has the best chance?
Oh boy, I would go with the probably the first one.
All right, these are for the last national seed, right here.
I have a feeling I know who that last one is. I don't know. I don't want to cheat, so I'll just go with the first one.
All right, we'll look at that again in just a second.
You guys have put me on the spot here.
That's what we do. That's why do you think
he's got everybody's conference records memorized? I think.
I've got those. I know those strength of schedules pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just for the record. This is what Kendall does. That's right.
So if I'm wrong, I lose all credibility, as my esteemed colleague Aaron Fitt would say.
By the way, if you're not on Twitter with Kendall and you love this game, be sure to get him on Twitter, follow him, and Aaron Fitt.
You got those Jeremy Mills in that mix as well. Jeremy's an animal.
All you guys are animals. Yeah. This is a long season.
We're all just looking at the KP over here. Big Timer gets to go to Charlotte a little early.
Well, we were going to do the blind resumes with him, and he said, "No, I'm out. You can get Kendall for those." Good breaking balls. Zach Powers.
You know, we talk about conference tournament crowds. How about that crowd in Nebraska earlier today? I mean, that was unbelievable.
Great to see the Big Ten supporting baseball like that. Great to see what Darren Erstad has done with that Nebraska program, getting them back in the national conversation.
Here's Pearson to Powers with 2 strikes. Ground ball to Bregman. Backhands in the hole.
Oh, wow.
What an arm. Wow.
It's not just the arm, it's the pick. Watch how he gets to his right side here and doesn't even need a shuffle to get this ball across the diamond. He's going to backhand off the right side, falling away, head high. Alex Bregman putting on a show here in the bottom of the 7th. We're still scoreless.
All right, well, we were talking about a moment ago who would be the final top 8 seed. We gave you some blind resumes, and Kendall went with team number 1.
Uh-oh.
Interesting, but you said you had him in, what, 24 hours, 36 hours ago? You had him as the 8th.
Until they got eliminated here, I had him in as the 8th. I still think Ole Miss has a legitimate resume. I think you look at the fact what they did in conference, winning the SEC West Division. I know LSU won head-to-head in Oxford, but you look at their quality of wins overall, it's pretty impressive. But the thing about it is, when you look at the last 15 games, you look at the way LSU has played here, LSU has a strong case to be. The fact of the matter is the year after year, the committee has all these tough decisions to make, and there's years where I look at a decision and go, man, that was horrible. But this year, there's a case for all these teams that are in the mix for national seeds as a host. So I don't think this is a case where we can go, that team clearly didn't deserve a national seed. I think all those teams this year, for once, have a legitimate resume.
Who are the teams sitting on the bubble that maybe are smaller schools that are trying to get into the field of 64 this year?
Yeah, I think you look around the country. I think you look at like New Mexico as a team is probably out at this point, but they were in the running. I never discount a team that wins the regular season conference championship. They've always got a chance. You look at the Big Ten. You look at Illinois. I think they're in the mix. Not a small school, but I mean they're in the mix. And then you look at kind of going with a name team here. I'm going to go with Stanford. They swept Utah this weekend. Probably will get in, but it's going to be a tough deal. And then Clemson is another big name. I think Clemson is going to be sweating tomorrow. I think they're one of those teams that may either be the last team in or the last team out.
Whew, that's a tough night, isn't it?
Yeah, Jack Leggett will not be nervous at all.
1-2 on Mark Laird. It is the top of the order, by the way, for LSU. And he'll foul that one back. Well, I know tomorrow's a big day for all of us. We finally get to find out who the 64 are, the top 8 seeds, who the 16 host sites are. It'll be a lot of fun. Hope to catch you somewhere down the road.
Yeah,
Thanks, my man.
It'll be interesting to see what happens from a surprise standpoint. I don't think it's going to happen, but if there's one big surprise out there, I think it's Tennessee getting in. Don't think it's going to happen, but just put that behind you and think about it a little bit.
All right, I did not pay him to say that.
Berkey will be
Chris
thinking.
did not pay me to say that.
Thank you for making that disclaimer.
Kendall, hey, thanks for joining us, man.
Brother.
Great work again,
Appreciate
bud. Kendall Rogers, a perfect game, joining us. Talking about the Vols as maybe the 11th team. Come on.
I mean, it's music to my ears. I'll believe it when I see it.
Catch made by Bader out in center field. 1 down. Alex Bregman, who has had some dynamite plays
He's
today.
got me all fired up, Dave. Watch him move to his left, the 360 pirouette. Accuracy is what I'm so amazed with here. Showing you the athleticism to move to his left, to move to his right, throw the ball accurately from different platforms. Doesn't need his feet to be set to throw the ball accurately. A telltale sign of a great shortstop. Obviously, shortstops make their living on the routine ball. You have to be able to catch the routine ball, the ball within 10 to 15 feet of yourself. But the guys that really step above the rest are the guys that make the athletic plays. And it helps if you can rate.
Well, ever since he had his bat checked, he's had 2 hits.
One of the things about Bregman is it's a flat stroke. Look how efficiently that barrel gets to the hitting zone. And this is a kid who gets the bat to the zone and keeps it there. And even though the numbers aren't the same as they were last year, he's peaking at the right time. And for this club to be playing as well as they are right now, you better believe he's going to be in the middle of everything they do here down the stretch.
Well, here's a guy that's going to be involved in quite a bit in his LSU career, the freshman Jake Fraley. Quick throw back to first by Ryan Harris. Fraley, guy that came in, was kind of the crown jewel of their recruiting class. A guy they were really counting on right out of the gates. And it took him a while to kind of get into the LSU mode, but he has really blossomed the second half of this season.
Yeah, and it's obviously a player that projects. I mean, I think the power is still not even close to where it could be. The body, I guarantee you, in a couple years is going to look different. But what he's showing you is the ability to compete and hit for a high average at a young age. And then when the power comes, he's got a chance to be a force in this league.
He has walked, grounded out, and sacrificed. Tyler Deal, Dane Dunning getting loose for Florida. It is crunch time here at the SEC Tournament Championship game, a scoreless affair.
I think Bregman goes here. I think Bregman makes a move here. Harris with a very herky-jerky delivery.
There he goes. And fouled back.
You know, and I don't know if that's a hit and run. If it's not, that's a mistake from the young Fraley, because Bregman's got that bag standing up, and in a scoreless game, you got to let him get into scoring position there. It almost was a hit and run type of swing, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I got to believe if you're Paul Maneri, you realize that Alex Bregman's going to steal this base. As a hitter, you've got to learn to take those pitches when a base stealer has a good jump.
Kevin O'Sullivan out to the mound. A 1-1 count with 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning. What's this discussion? What would be the message from Sully at this point?
Well, he's talking about Bregman. I mean, he sees the jump that Bregman got. And, again, he's got that bag stolen easily. So, you know, it's either, hey, look, he's going to steal the bag and let's focus on the hitter, or it's we've got to change up our looks, we've got to change up our rhythm, maybe even potentially a couple picks or even a pitch out, because in a scoreless game, in a tie ball game, you've got to keep runners out of scoring position to the degree with which you're capable of doing it.
Jake Fraley, a high school first-team All-American last year. That one is slapped foul down the left field line.
A little bit of a quicker move there from Harris. Again, it's not a true slide step because there's a little herky-jerkiness in the delivery, so no matter how quick he is with the lower half, the arm still takes a little while to deliver the baseball, but definitely sped up from his previous delivery.
Fraley's out of Middletown, Delaware. I don't think he saw crowds like this in high school ball in Delaware last year. 1-2 to Fraley.
And one of the things about both these teams is they're national brands. And while they both hold down their states and recruit the majority of their players from within the state. You look at their roster, there are some difference makers from around the country, from far stretches of the country on both of these programs, and their brands, they travel, and they can go grab players from wherever they want to.
You look down the LSU list: Texas, New Mexico, California, Florida, a couple of Floridas, New Jersey, Missouri, San Diego, Georgia. Down in the dirt.
I tell you, I am absolutely shocked Alex Bregman's still at first base. I got to believe here at 2-2, it is go time. Watch the lead knee here from Harris as it gets up into his chest. Uh-oh. You can see he was gone there. But at a certain point, you don't care. I mean, it doesn't matter if he knows you're going to steal. You see here a little false step there from Bregman, but again, a good job of getting to the back of the base there. But there's nothing wrong with tipping your hand there with a flinch, because Harris, once he decides to go, Bregman has the speed to steal the base. Just got to make sure that you don't leave too soon.
Okay, now how many of these do you do? You know he's going.
Right.
So how many throws over to first do you go before
there
you decide
go.
to make the play?
Yeah, and it's interesting because right now we're seeing Bregman's either popped open a scab or something, but he's going to walk it off here. Now this is a pretty savvy move. They picked a few times in a row. Catch your breath, act like you got something, your belt busted or your knee hurts. You just give a little timeout, and you come right in and steal the base. Sometimes you just need a breather.
He is the classic example, the baseball term, dirtbag.
Oh, he's a gamer, yeah, no question.
He is all about playing ball.
As soon as this left knee comes up, he's gone.
Oh, they had him. Got him. Well, that's how many times you do it till you get him. I'm surprised Bregman.
Well, it's just one of those situations where, again, I said it earlier, you don't need to leave too soon. The move to the plate is slow enough. He's trying to get the best jump. And sometimes it's not about the best jump. When the math is in your favor and you know you can steal a base on somebody, as you see Zach Powers kind of moving in front of the base there to even block the runner, you can get too antsy. You try to get the best jump, and all you need is a good jump right there. Big play for the Gators.
Boy, frustrating.
Yeah.
Now there's 2 outs in the inning and 2 strikes on Fraley at the plate, and Harris certainly can't take a deep breath just yet. Fraley has the power to get one out of here, so you got to be careful. He has 3 home runs on the year. That one is sliced into left. That'll drop right in front of Bader.
It never fails. I'm just telling you, I had the misfortune of being picked off a few times in my life, and the guy up to bat always gets a hit. And you're in the dugout kicking rocks and throwing cups, and I don't know the stats, but it's like they hit 900 after you get picked off. It's unbelievable. Could have been a first and third situation there for LSU.
Boy, now the DH and the cleanup hitter, Sean McMullen, will step in. Sean has flied out, walked, and was intentionally walked his last time up. 282 on the year with 5 homers. He looks at a first pitch strike.
And really, probably the biggest moment we've had in this game was when Florida makes the move to intentionally walk McMullen, and then Whitson on 2-0 gets a 6-4-3 from Savic to keep this game scoreless. That's easily been the best scoring opportunity from either side. And Whitson and the Gators made the play to keep this game scoreless.
There is Karsten Whitson. He had a fantastic day. Five hits by LSU, just 2 hits by Florida. Harris delivers. That one's just off the plate, 1-1. LSU won this title last year, number 10 SEC tournament title for LSU, the most in conference history. Florida has 6 of these tournament championships. Their last came in 2011. The last time these two clubs met for the tournament title, you got to go back to 2000. Been a while.
See, Dave, it's kind of reached that point in the game. Look, you got shadows behind the mound. The pitcher's actually in the sunlight, and then the rest of the field is shadowed. So it's an interesting time of the day to be playing, especially on a sunny day here where the shadows come into the mix. And it can definitely affect pitch recognition and depth perception. Certainly an advantage for the pitchers.
Boy, Harris has been a lot of time digesting the scenario. Been a lot of time thrown over to first with Bregman and finally got him. This is one of those situations where I always think you got 2 outs in the inning. Get the guy at home. This has popped up. This may stay in play. It's going to be close. Powers about a row deep. This is a big ballpark and a lot of foul ball territory here. 340 down the lines, 405 straightaway center. Didn't bother LSU yesterday, though, with 3 home runs and nearly had a 4th. Bregman was robbed on a leaping catch out in left field by Joe Serrano of Arkansas. I mean, he went up over the yellow line to rob one from Bregman. Two and two on McMullen.
Perfect pitch to run on here. I got to believe Fraley's moving on this one.
There he goes. Throw down by Gushu. Not in time. Stolen base.
Well, it has taken them all inning, but they have finally taken this base. You see how big the knee comes up there for the athletic Fraley. That is an easy swipe. Gushu tried his best to make that play close, but just no chance there for the speedy Fraley. And now here we are, run scoring opportunity. They've been few and far between. Sean McMullen has a chance to put his stamp on this game right here. Tell you, if you're Ryan Harris right here, you got first base open. You got a right-handed hitter on deck. Tie game in the 8th. There is no reason to challenge McMullen with a fastball in the middle of the plate. Obviously, if you feel like fastball is the best pitch, it's perfect or a ball. Otherwise, I'd go for a swing and miss pitch here. If he takes it, you take your chances with the right-handed hitter on deck.
The right-handed hitter is Cade Savick. That ball is hit hard, deep to right. It is out of here. Home run, Sean McMullen. LSU leads it 2-0.
Oh, man.
Sean McMullen got the pitch you said Florida didn't need to throw.
Well, it's just one of those danger zone opportunities that obviously the entire Gator team wishes they had back. You tell Sean McMullen got a little adrenaline running through his veins right now. You talk about a big moment coming through in a big spot. It doesn't get much more fun than that as an athlete.
So Vic pops it straight back. That'll be a few rows deep. How about LSU? 6 home runs in this tournament by 5 different hitters.
Yeah. So, you know, LSU has been dangerous. You can see McMullen gets something up and out over the plate. And again, perfect or ball with any pitch you're throwing in that situation, right on left. And that is the pitch he's looking for. And what a swing. I mean, you talk about extension through the front part of the hitting zone. Sean McMullen, you showing some serious length on the front part of the zone there, and that ball is way out of here.
So Vic hits it hard to Buddy Reed, but that'll do it. Boy, Ryan Harris left one up in the zone. Sean McMullen with his 6th home run of the year. In 3.5 games, McMullen was just 1 for 13 against Gator pitching. They won't remember that. They will remember this. 2-0 LSU. Sean McMullen, the DH, with a huge 2-run shot in the 8th to give LSU the lead.
Well, we talked about being perfect or a ball there with this pitch and throwing something off speed, and he tries. This is an off-speed pitch that he hangs. It's a slider up and out over the plate. See the dot on the baseball right there? That's a cement mixer of a slider, and McMullen's not going to miss that. Look at the extension there with a one-hand finish. And, man, what separates college baseball on a day-to-day basis is the emotion that these kids show. And you look at the dugout, you look at the fans, and the love that he receives. Look at this. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, there is nothing better than these types of moments in college baseball. That is good stuff. And the Tiger faithful, who support their program as well as anybody in the country, they love it.
Peter Alonso leading off 7, 8, and 9 to face Kurt McCune, the new pitcher for LSU, his 28th appearance on the year, 2-2 record, 23 Ks, 8 walks. There's a strike, 1-1. McCune, opponents hit .232 against the senior. Alonso 0 for 2 today. Now 1-2 at the plate. Boy, you can just imagine being in his shoes. What a moment.
Yeah, the cool thing is you're DH, so you don't even have to.
Right, you can talk about it for a lot longer.
You're like,
right.
dude, you see how far did it get over the back fence?
He's going down to everybody.
He's like, did it get to the trees? Where exactly did it land?
Alonso hits it on the button, but right to center field. Stevenson makes the catch, 1 down. Be sure to catch more baseball tonight on ESPN when Adam Wainwright leads the Cardinals against Brandon Phillips and the Cincinnati Reds. It's Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. It's the Cards and the Reds at 8 on ESPN. You can also catch that live on Watch ESPN. Gorgeous day here at Hoover, Alabama. We are just outside of downtown Birmingham for the SEC tournament title game. Dave Neal, along with former SEC Player of the Year, Tennessee Volunteer, first-round draft pick, big league player Chris Burke. Sounds a lot like my resume.
Dang, Dave, I appreciate that, man.
Now that KP's not here, I'll shed some love your way. You know how you get. It's a little sensitive.
Yeah.
Kyle Peterson was with us most of the day. Had to head back to Charlotte for the selection show tomorrow at noon. Bregman across the diamond, 2 down as Buddy Reed is retired. Don't forget that selection show coming up at noon Eastern time on ESPNU. The field of 64 will be fully announced. And whether or not LSU is a top 8 national seed, still yet to be determined, but we do know that Florida is definitely a top 8 seed. Will they be the #1 seed? And the general feeling is, regardless of what happens here today, they will be. The #1 RPI, #1 strength of schedule, most wins against top 50 RPI teams in the country. I don't know what else you got to do.
Yeah, no, that's it. I think they staked their claim and have continued to back it up with solid play here in the tournament. Think about how difficult it is to not only win the regular season title, but then make it here to the conference title game. We see it in basketball and now in baseball. It's hard to do that. It's not always the case that the regular season champ even gets to the conference tournament title game. Florida's had a remarkable year.
The most storied conference in college athletics has a new home as the SEC Network, brought to you by ESPN, will be launching August 14th. First football games on the 28th. 1,000 exclusive live events. 45 total football games. 75 baseball games. Folks, you got to go to GetSECNetwork.com and tell your TV provider you refuse to miss out on the action like this. 75 SEC baseball games next year. 45 football games. Tyler Deal with the ball now for Florida as we move to the 9th inning. Or excuse me, Tyler Deal with the ball, pitching to Tyler Moore. There you go. Did I mess that up? I think I might have messed that up. I don't know. I confused myself. It's late. Been here all week. That will drop foul by 4 or 5 feet. You know, there are a lot of people that talked about this ballpark being too big. I got to tell you something. I've been coming here for a long time doing these tournament games and this championship game. I think it provides a lot of excitement defensively. You get to see guys really use their athletic ability and chase down a lot of plays. And this year, we've seen the home run ball come back a little bit.
Well, if you get the barrel out and pull the ball from the pull side gap to the pull side line, you can hit home runs anywhere. What separates Parks is the ability to hit a ball in the middle of the field out.
Tobias with the kicks. Tyler Moore is out. LSU this week has just been crushing it here.
And just watch where all these balls go. You can see, look at the bat head. You young hitters, you want to hit home runs, get the bat head out. Do we want to hit the ball the opposite field? Sure, but if you want to drive the ball out of the ballpark, you better get the barrel out in front of home plate. You better be able to do it with good spin. LSU has put on a clinic on how to get to the middle of the baseball, create good spin, and get good carry. It has been a show from the LSU offense from start to finish.
12 home runs in the tournament this year. 5 last year. Half of those home runs hit by LSU, and they've played the fewest innings of anybody in the tournament. And another pitching change for the Florida Gators as Tyler Deal is done for the day. And for the Gators, Dane Dunning comes on, a 6'3" freshman out of Fleming Island, Florida. Went to Clay High School. Well, LSU trying to perhaps solidify a top 8 national seed. A win here would go a long way and help the Tigers accomplish that. In Florida looking for the top overall national seed. We have talked about it over and over again, and I think regardless of the outcome here, look for Florida to be #1 on the big board on Monday. LSU last year able to win the 2013 SEC championship game.
Well,
Vanderbilt was the #1 and 2 teams in the country matching up.
Yeah, there's just something about the Gators. The Tigers, when they get to the SEC tournament, they flip a switch. Obviously, the most titles of any school in SEC history, and they just know how to win this tournament. They expect to win. They bring the most fans to Alabama every year, and when they get here, they are always the team to beat.
Paul Maneri's had some good success here. 21-4, 4 titles.
Looking for a 5th.
Connor Hale, with 1 down, will step in. Dunning on the year, making his 16th appearance. Opponents hit .211 against the freshman. A 5.31 ERA. 0-2 on Hale. Connor Hale hitting in the 7th spot. Ground out, fly out, and a sacrifice today. We are late. We're in the top of the 9th. And that one is lifted down the line and right, just foul. By the way, LSU, we talk about their bats. They lead the country in shutouts this year. They've shut out the opponent 16 times. It's a new school record. They shattered the old record by the 1996 team when they had 10 as Hale strikes out.
Well, it helps when you got the best pitcher in the country. That'll help your shutout total. We see here Hale just unable to keep that barrel back. Boy, that is so frustrating as a hitter. But there is Aaron Nola, your no doubt pitcher of the year in this conference.
In 2 years, he's suffered 1 loss.
Is that good?
Yeah.
And he's throwing on Friday night. He's throwing in the SEC West. And everybody's gunning for him. I mean, he's had a bullseye on his back now for a couple seasons. And the consistency to me is what's so impressive about this young man, starting right from the get-go.
Gloved at first. Stevenson is retired. Florida, 3 outs remaining. Top of the order, Turgeon, Martin, and Bader. The Tigers are 37-0 when they lead after 8 innings. Can Florida break that streak? Stay with us and find out. 2-0 LSU on top of Florida. The best conference RPI in the country belongs to the Southeastern Conference. LSU trying to win the tournament title. Florida has captured the regular season championship. The 3 outs for Florida to try to break through here against LSU, looking for their 8th consecutive win of the year. And back-to-back tournament titles. Casey Turgeon to lead it off. It's the top of the order for the Gators. Turgeon looking for his first hit of the afternoon. Working against Kurt McCune. Boy, this bullpen has been lights out. Only 3 guys have reached against the bullpen in this tournament. At a 25, there's a strike. It's 1-2 on Turgeon. Gators just need to get somebody on base. They don't care how.
Bloop and a blast, what you're looking for here. You know, you got Bader and Gushu waiting in the wings. If somebody can get on, give them a chance to tie this game up.
1 hops back to Savick.
Interesting, we're not seeing Joe Broussard here in this situation. Leads the team with 8 saves.
Just misses. Savick tried to frame it for home plate umpire Scott Irby.
Scott Irby has been excellent this afternoon, and he has not wavered on his zone, continuing to stay consistent with the corners of the strike zone.
And there's the Gator runner they were looking for with nobody out.
course, Paul Maneri's not going to agree, but as I said, Scott Irby has had a tight zone all game and been consistent with that. Ball is down, and the previous pitch was away, ever so slightly, but a ball is a ball. Casey Turgeon with an excellent at-bat there. And now the Gators have exactly what they wanted, which is a leadoff man on here in the ninth.
So Richie Martin will step in, the sophomore shortstop. 0 for 2 today with a walk. This Gator team, not a big home run hitting team. Gushu, the cleanup hitter, has 6 on the year to lead the Gators. Martin has 1. Behind him is Harrison Bader. He has just 2 home runs on the year.
The last 3 outs are never easy. They are never easy.
Miles an hour in there for a strike. It's 1-2. There's the guy who has given LSU the shot in the arm and the 2-run lead. The DH, Sean McMullen. 2-run blast in the top of the 8th inning. 2 strikes, 2 outs.
First base open. It was one of those defining moments, and fortunately for the Gators, they hung a breaking ball. McMullen didn't miss it.
That's out to Bregman. What a scoop. They'll turn 2. Wow.
I'm just telling you, folks, this has been such a good baseball game, and Alex Bregman has put on an absolute display of fielding. He's showing us to his left, to his right. Now he's going to charge and get the short hop with a perfect feed. You think they want to win this thing?
Well, that ball was smoked off the bat of Martin. Harrison Bader with 2 outs will step in. Ground ball to the right side. This could be it. LSU, your 2014 SEC Tournament champs, with a 2-0 win over the Florida Gators. Well, the Gators and the Tigers will head off to the NCAA tournament, certainly with their sights set on a trip to Omaha and a national title. But today belong to the LSU Tigers as they roll through this tournament and win 2-0. Coming up next, it'll be baseball tonight. For my partners, Kyle Peterson and Chris Burke and our entire crew, I'm Dave Neal saying so long from Hoover, Alabama. We will see you folks down the road.